The President of the Republic of Zambia, His Excellency Edgar Chagwa Lungu, has often stated that agriculture should become the mainstay of Zambia's economy. Now, at the heart of the agricultural revolution is the private sector, as stated in the second agriculture policy and the 7th National Development Plan. Agriculture should become private sector driven. In this documentary, we look at some of the innovations the private sector is implementing that are benefiting smallholder farmers and how these can be enhanced.
Innovations for us as a YAPRI in the value chain of agriculture production, marketing, and indeed processing are critical. Let me start with the farmer first. With the phone that we have, the farmer can log in and see the prices of commodities. He doesn't have to travel to Soweto market and get the price. Now on his mobile phone, he will know the price at Soweto market. In fact, not only at a specific time, the whole day. There could be prices for the morning, prices for lunchtime, and prices for the for the afternoon. That's an innovation. The commodity exchange. Zambia, which is Zambia Agricultural Commodity Exchange. This was created by government, and the commodity exchange, itself was given the agency by the government in order for it to run the warehouse receipt system. Small, medium, and large-scale farmers would deposit their maize, their soya, their groundnuts into that certified warehouse. The grades will be known for the warehouse. The price may not be known. You may just speculate that price may be 60, maybe 70. But when I deposit come in June, July, when maybe the market price is 60, I leave it in a warehouse in Chipata. There may be somebody appointed warehouse manager in Chipata. He will look at the quality and understand this A or B, grade, maize, and he may decide that I can give you immediately maybe 50% of an anticipated price. If we say, okay, here's 40 kwacha per 50 kg bag. When I finally sell, when you're happy with the price, I'll give you the balance of the money. So he has deposited in June. Come October, or indeed November, that the price now, according to him, has gone to 70. He says, oh no, at 70, I think you can sell now that maize. Then the warehouse manager will give me a 30 kwacha. So me as a farmer, I'm not keeping that maize. I'm having no losses. Somebody is doing that for me. So that has commenced effectively this year. So that's an innovation. You can see that there's no need for me, small-scale farmer, in having a storage facility. Because there's one that is there, that somebody will take care of it. Of course, there's a small fee that you pay for it, but still much cheaper. And you also have liquidity, some money released to you, which you can use for procuring your inputs for the next, cropping, season. That, again, is good for the country. It's Zambia Agricultural Commodity Exchange. There are many like that all over the world.
Before we proceed, let us look at how the private sector investment has grown in Zambia's agricultural sector.
In the last 10 years or so, we have experienced a large influx of multinational companies, some of them homegrown, local, that have entered into this country, and they have brought quite a number of innovations regarding the grain marketing. So you appreciate that this mainly started happening around 2008, perhaps because of high global grain prices. So their interest mainly is on maize and soybeans. These are the crops that they are actually buying in large quantities from smallholder farmers. You appreciate that around 2008, a lot of them started coming in. By 2011 or so, they accounted for about 3% of the soybeans and maize sold by smallholder farmers. This increased to about 12% by about 2014. Indeed, you like to appreciate also that by last year, 2016, these large grain traders accounted for about 41% of the total marketed maize and soybeans in the country. So in other words, there's been a huge growth in their operations on the market.
It is evident that the private sector involvement in grain marketing in Zambia has come with massive investment in areas such as storage and equipment. Many large grain traders have set up different types of storage facilities across the country.
Basically what we have here is grain handling and storage depot. What we do mainly is receive and store grain on behalf of farmers or on our own behalf. Most of our maize suppliers around this area are the small-scale farmers around Mukushi and Serenja areas. They mostly bring the maize that we buy at this depot. We can store maize on your behalf. If you say you've grown maize and you don't have enough storage on your farm, we can store it for you here. We've got bunkers, like you can see behind me. Capacity of one bunker is 8,000 tons. So we can store up to 8,000 tons of grains. We can store maize in stacks. We can put stacks on the outside and cover them with tents. We've got a grain shed there. We can store maize in our shed. And then we've also got silo bags on that side, which is also an added storage facility that side. So we can do that. And also, in addition to that, we can clean maize for you. Not only maize, we can clean other grain for you. If you've got some grain that you want loaded out to somewhere, if it's not clean enough, we can put it through our cleaner that's that side, and we can clean it to within spec of whatever your customer or whoever wants to buy the grain from you wants it. The capacity of one bunker is 8,000 tons, and we've got 4 of them, which is in total 32,000 tons. And we've got silos. We've got that's about 5 hectares there, and we can put down up to about 200 silo bags. One silo bag can hold 150 tons, so that's about 30,000 tons in total that we can keep in silo bags that side. So that's you've got 32 in bunkers, 30 outside there. That's 62. We can put out stacks. Whatever open space we have that we see convenient, we can put up a stack. We've got grain dams as well. We've got a shed that side where we can keep total, I think, about 5,000 tons in bags that we can stack in the shed there. So our capacity is, I think, quite close to 70,000 tons that we can store at this depot alone. We've got those silos. Mainly we use them, we don't use them as much for holding, mainly for outloading. When we're outloading bulk, or at the moment as we're bagging, we've got a bagging machine that's set up there. The capacity of each of those silos is 150 tons.
We are receiving maize from small-scale farmers and also from different levels of farmers. We are receiving maize in bulk and also in bags. And all our storage is actually done in bulk storage, that is in silo bags. These silo bags are made of polythene, which is of high density, and you can hold this grain probably for a period of a year plus, depending on how and when you like to move out the grain. But the advantage with this type of storage is it's free from infestation. Once you preserve the first time, you do not need to re-preserve the grain, that is by fumigation. You only preserve it once, and it's free from infestation. And the capacity of this silo, the minimum is 185 tons minimum. Of course, you can put in probably 185 plus, depending on what type of grain that you are handling. In terms of bag, of course, most of the farmers, they are quite on a smaller scale, and they start from 20. We start taking bags from 20 bags, which is a ton, going upwards. So anything that is above 20 tons, we take. So it can go even to the maximum of 200 bags, 300 bags. We just take in as it comes in.
Besides storage and equipment, other private agribusiness companies have added a component of value addition to agriculture produce and services.
We have a Beulah mill which can mill 150 tons of wheat a day into flour, and we make various grades of flour from that. Our other operations include taking in maize from the farmers around here, soybeans and wheat. So we do maize, soybeans and wheat. It's only the wheat that we process into flour. The concept started around 2006, where the farmers got together and decided they needed to be able to store their product rather than be at the mercy of the buyers. When the farmer is harvesting, there's always an oversupply of product in a short space of time. The way to get around that is to store the product for a few months or until the product becomes short, and then you can maximize on your price. So the farmers got together, formed a group, and decided to build this silo project. The value addition that came later. I do believe this mill has been in operation for approximately 5 years. And these silos have been in operation for about 10 years now.
These enormous investments by the private sector have resulted in various forms of innovations to enhance the grain trade. Presently, private sector innovation in grain marketing for smallholder farmers in Zambia include pre-finance, forward contracting, and use of ICTs, among others.
First of all, they have brought about what I can call a structured grain markets, or structured way of trading with our smallholder farmers. What we are referring to here is there's a move away from what we call spot markets to sort of a relationship between farmers and traders. How are they doing this? We find that the traders actually are going into some kind of pre-financing. How they do this is that they provide inputs or finances for inputs, whether with a contract or not. There's also a situation where a contract is signed with farmers that is normally referred to as contract farming. There is another model which is also coming in, which is called forward contracts. So we find that grain traders are actually signing forward contracts with farmers at the point of planting. A price will be agreed upon with the grain trader, and when farmers supply at the harvest time, that price will not change. It will remain fixed like that. So these are the three main models that we found actually as innovations around grain marketing. The structured marketing has also attracted a lot of players. Some of the services that they are providing include increased access to credit. So we find that financial institutions, actors like ZNFU are providing more credit to the smallholder farmers because of the marketing environment that has actually changed. So there's more credit coming in for production purposes. There's also more credit that has come in for for even things like tractors and implements and things like that.
At the moment, private sector innovations have grown and have had a huge impact on the lives of smallholder farmers in the country. For instance, innovations such as pre-finance and forward contracting have been applauded as having a great positive impact.
As a company, when we came into Mpongwe, we saw there was a challenge when it came to farmers on soybean production. So what we did as a company, we introduced an outgrower scheme where farmers are able to access inputs from NWK on credit. When I say inputs, it's from the seed, the inoculant, the herbicides, and all that is needed for them to produce soybeans. The response of farmers has been overwhelming. This is our second year of doing it. The first year we had 1,900 farmers, but the second year the number has jumped to 4,000 farmers, and we still had farmers who were trying to be on the program, but it was late. And this year we're expecting the number to go somewhere to 6,000. The farmers, they've liked the program just because the way the program is, they get inputs on credit. When you check on the price of the soybean seed, the same price they get in the shops is the same price that we give them at. Once they harvest that crop, we also offer guaranteed market for them. So all this package has encouraged farmers to grow more soya and wanting to be with NWK.
Kalaka company kawemo kwa kuti. Panondelanda I got cotton seed from NWK, yes, and soybean seed. Initiative baletere to empower the farmers. It is very, very good. It's very, very good. And then amataba yena abantu nomba they have decided not to sell to our buyers wambi. They would want to take straight kuri baria either millers or ba hema na mwachila na ba NWK, because abanga bashita kunolimbi ati one kwacha package. They are getting kalaka profit by selling to NWK. So this farmer who has at least a good number of bags, kutia salapo fio ko yata atwala kuisa atwala direct kudia
inkani ya maloni eminsamu iratu pagabo tukabotalira kumbuto akuminsamu mapaki agajisi spear soroba then arambu daulio ujazi vunyu basi ya mvunyungwa ngani paki antomweyo palatu pacha kufambana zonsezio alimwe amunsamu ulio kumpasogwe wafambana washanga eri planting poso weri waliumpa amunsamu uli around up palatu pazionsezo mali mbuli lwangu uloni ndakabweze dali usika 1.838 kwacha, then ndagijosia half of that nubokuti ibute buzitebwa lika watumagana uti mvula yali nyingi eno futi ndagandula ndabadala.
We do provide some leasing, financing. We've got a mechanization department on that side where you can, if you say you want a tractor, you want a planter, we've got a lot of implements on that side. And you go into an agreement where you take your tractor or your plow or your harvester, whatever it is, and then you agree to deliver your grain to us, and of course the cost of that will be offset on the cost of the machinery or the implements that you bought from us. And that's how we help some of our farmers finance their operations as well.
Other innovations by the private sector include provision of extension service, credit for capital, weather index insurance, and warehouse receipt system.
large grain traders are also attracting this use of ICTs, for instance, SMS platforms for farmers to actually be able to find out the best prices as well as who is selling these commodities. So you find that a farmer can use those kind of platforms to just log in, and there will be a list of traders and the prices that they are selling at and their locations, and the farmer will be able to find a market. The other one is electronic extension systems, commonly known as e-extension. This is also being pioneered through ZNFU. It's also an innovation where farmers are receiving farming tips on their production. So apart from these that I've talked about, there's also the issue of private sector extension systems. So we find that private grain traders are going further to actually provide extension services to our farmers, which has the advantage of increasing productivity on our farmers. The large grain traders are also actually providing training even to smaller grain traders so that they become more professional, such as the use of scales and things like that. Okay, then the other one is actually the provision of insurance products to our smallholder farmers. You find that in the era of climate change, farmers are exposed to a lot of risks. So with insurance products, grain traders are actually working with insurance companies and providing insurance for our smallholder farmers, particularly the weather index insurance. We found farmers who are actually using these insurance products, and it has really worked to their advantage. The last innovation I would like to talk about is the warehouse receipt system. This is relatively new on the market. So how it works, a farmer or a trader will go and deposit their grain in a certified warehouse. These are certified by Zambia. So once a farmer deposits their grain in a warehouse, they are issued a receipt. So with that receipt, farmers are able to actually obtain credit from a financial institution. The advantage to the farmer is that a farmer does not have to sell, immediately. Even if they're under pressure, they can just deposit their grain and use that receipt to obtain credit, and then the rest of the balance is paid when the grain is actually sold. So this is another innovation, and thanks to government and Zambia, it has started operating.
4455 kintu kimwe ichakatugwashirira ikuijana busambazi ibwa mapopwa twakatsora kuranganya kuti ino tuyosambala kuri twakainka mutupepa twaba ZNFU mbulimbo bakatuyisye kwendana ruyo rwabo, then twakabona ma companies, then twakasara mbuli bafugiri ko twakasambala mapopwa lasiye wakarambi ma company agarigora ibari mimbanji kambomburo kuno information center tulijisiba limi basiga ku 150 aba bantu bakajibwe but kuliponya mbure uti basiga kuma half of it bakajiya maningi ali bakajijita bamwe basambala tupongo muzira njonyeyo bamwe basambala mberere muzira njoneyo.
We introduced a training program that we are running where farmers are trained in soybean production. That is from land preparation up to harvesting. So we've packaged our training into 3 phases. There is training number 1, training number 2, and training number 3. Under training number 1, we train them on land preparation, planting, and training number 2, we train them on weeding. On weeding, it's divided into 2. There's hand weeding and then the use of chemicals. Then the last training that we train them, it's on integrated pest management. We've seen there's a rise in pests in most crops. So we train them on how to scout for pests, how to identify the pests, and on which chemicals they have to use. We also provide the chemicals to them, the sprayers to them, and then we also set up demonstration plots where farmers are able to come and learn from their fellow farmers what they are doing on the demonstration plots.
As you can see, the private sector is expanding the operations to support grain marketing for smallholder farmers. Consequently, the private sector has the potential to scale up and reach more and more smallholder farmers. However, challenges are there.
The main challenge is the policy challenge. There is the issue of policy inconsistencies. So you find that when government imposes an export ban, grain traders are affected because you find that they cannot actually sell that surplus grain which they buy from farmers, be it maize or soybeans. And because of that, it affects their ability to actually invest more in the grain sector. So I could give an example of what happened last year when an export ban was imposed. So grain traders could not actually export some of the grain that they could have exported, and it has affected this season because they cannot buy as much as they would have loved to buy and even plow back in terms of investments. Our findings on the ground suggest that due to these policy inconsistencies, grain traders are actually reducing on the number of contracts that they have been giving to smallholder farmers, the contracts that I was just referring to, and the pre-financing and things like that. So those investments have begun to slow down because of policy inconsistency. But thanks to the government for committing to policy consistency going on, we have heard that the government is going to commit itself to open trade. And if that continues to be the case, then I think we'll see more investments in the country once again.
With increased private sector innovations in grain marketing, there is no doubt that more smallholder farmers will be motivated to improve production and productivity.
My first recommendation really goes to government. We should put in place, and in a sustainable manner, not ad hoc, forward and backwards, in a sustainable manner, transparency and predictability of our policies. That, to me, is a key recommendation. With that, you'll see it will be pull effect, just pulling in investors. Investors are farmers, because when they say investor, we always think somebody from outside. Ourselves, as business people, moving into this industry. When it is woolly, we don't know where things are going. That can be stopped. There will be a levy. There will be this difficult thing. We shun away from it, and only leave small-scale farmers who do not even know where we are going to get involved. The second part, really, to me, is the rationalization of these taxes, these barriers to trade. We need to sit down. Government, councils, all of us as stakeholders, let's sit down. How do we really rationalize so that it doesn't become a headache? Why should it be a headache? A levy, you see all these, even in trunk roads, you see the roads blocked just to get a bit of money. To me, we can have all these out of the way. You don't see these things in developed countries, not even in South Africa. Council levies, they're stopping here and there. I think we can do a better job behind the scenes, proper rationalization, but still get the same benefit as as if we have the roadblocks all over the country. The third one is really addressing now our farmers, addressing our traders, really addressing policy institutions like ourselves. We should be receptive to new technology. We should shun it. It's good for us. We cannot continue doing things the way they used to be, in the 60s. Times have changed. Let's adopt and take full advantage of new technologies that are available in the country and the world